Hey, what's going on, folks? What's going on? Your friend Dean Kulaweera here. Every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time Zone. I'm right here to help you folks out with job search tips, advice, strategies from my perspective as a recruiter. So don't feel shy. Feel free to hit that like and share. Today, I'm going to be speaking about this topic. All right, 5 things to do if you've been laid off. I wrote a full article about this earlier this week. I released it on Monday afternoon. So I'm going to be sharing some of those tips not some of them, but the 5 tips I shared in that article. I'm going to be sharing that today. But if you want the kind of the expanded version of my thoughts, feel free to check out my article. You can see the article if you go to my LinkedIn profile. It should be under the featured section. I posted it up there. So just visit my LinkedIn profile. It's under the featured section if you want to read the entire article afterwards, and feel free to check it out. But what I wanted to speak about today is today's topic is 5 things to do if you've been laid off. And I wanted to speak about this because again, I think today also I think Tesla announced they're cutting off about like 3.5% of their workforce. What was the other big one was Coinbase. We recently heard about, I think, Netflix, Twitter. Like, we're hearing about all these organizations that might be that are going through, and maybe some other organizations out there that might be planning to move ahead with layoffs. Now, again, point of this is not to spread negativity or be negative, but the fact is, some of you out there might be affected by layoffs. Some of you might be at some point in the future affected by layoffs. If you're not, hey, I mean, that's great, but this is for those of you who might have been affected for layoffs. I wanted to share with you 5 tips on what you need to do if you've been laid off. All right. And That's going to be today's topic. Don't forget to hit like and share, and also don't feel shy. Feel free to introduce yourself in the comments, folks. Let me know who you are, where you're tuning in from, and also any questions you have job search related. All right, whether it's related to today's topic or anything else job search related. Maybe you need resume tips, you need interview tips, you need negotiation tips, you need tips for dealing with recruiters. Whatever your situation is, feel free to drop your question in the comments, and I'll get to your question in the kind of the Q&A part, which is more so at the end of today's segment. All right, so feel free to start doing that. And also, quick shout out, of course, to everyone tuning in from LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter, tuning in live. Appreciate you tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, make sure you mark your calendars. Again, every Wednesday I do this at 11 a.m. Eastern Time Zone. And my intention is to help you out with job search tips, advice, and strategies, right? And also recruitment and hiring tips as well if you're an organization experiencing challenges in your recruitment process. If you want to follow me on my other social media channels, you can check out all my social media links over here at linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter. Linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter. All my social media links are at that page. So I'm also active on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I also post the replays of these live streams. If you prefer audio, like you're not a visual person, sick and tired of seeing me visually, you can check out the replay afterwards. I posted on Anchor.fm, which also distributes to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, and some other podcasting platforms I've never heard of. But it is out there, right? So feel free to check out those links as well. And it also has the links to my LinkedIn newsletter. So make sure you subscribe to my LinkedIn newsletter as well. I post a new edition every Monday during the afternoons. I speak about a variety of recruitment and hiring topics for the organizations out there experiencing recruitment difficulties and challenges. And I also cover for the job seekers out there a job search topic every week. Again, a new edition released every week on Mondays during the afternoon. And Today's segment is sponsored by Tech Recruiters 360, which is my recruitment business. So if you're an organization looking to hire tech talent anywhere in Canada, that is an area that I can assist you with. If you're experiencing challenges, high levels of competition, difficult to find skill sets, feel free to reach out to me for more information on how I can assist you. Or maybe you're an IT professional, right? Maybe you're an IT professional. You're here in Canada. You're looking for your next tech career opportunity. Feel free to send me a direct message and reach out to me. Provide me with an introduction. Let me know a bit more about yourself, and I'll see if there's any way I can assist you. If not now, folks, hey, at some point in the future, right? Let's think long term, right? It's not about just the immediate gains, but if I can't help you now, maybe there's some way I can help you at some point in the future, right? Today's segment is also sponsored by DK Global Talent, which is my training business. So I have a course offered through that business called Applying to Jobs Online 101. And in the course, which is you can complete it in 3 hours, you get lifetime access, and where I teach you how to increase responses to your job applications by up to 20%, in some cases even more, through the use of direct messaging, right? Well, one of the major challenges a lot of job seekers face is applying for jobs, applying, but not getting any responses. And usually the issue is not your resume, it's not the fact that you lack talent or ability, not that you don't have great experience. It's simply the fact that your application, your resume gets lost in a pile of hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of other resumes or job applications. So what I teach you in this course is how to make use of making direct contact, direct messaging with recruiters and hiring managers, and creating a message that is compelling, that stands out, that'll increase your chances of getting a response from recruiters and hiring managers. So I teach that in the course. For more information about that, folks, feel free to check out the website down here. It's dkglobaltalent.com/get responses, dkglobaltalent.com/get responses. You can also read some testimonials on there from people who have taken the course as well. All right. So with that being said, today's topic, 5 things to do if you've been laid off. Let's see if we have any comments here. We got Vitali in the house. Vitali, thanks so much for, hopefully, did I pronounce that right? Yeah, Vitali. Thanks for tuning in, Vitali, and hello to you as well. Thanks so much for tuning in. For the rest of you, feel free to say hi in the comments and also put in any questions you might have regarding today's topic or anything job search related, so I can help you folks out in the comments. All right. So today's topic, folks, 5 things you need to do if you've been laid off. Look, folks, being laid off is tough. I know, because I've been there. I've been there in the past. I was a part of layoffs actually during the start of COVID, right? When COVID first hit, there was like mass layoffs going left and right, various industries. The recruitment industry was one of those industries affected. And at the company that I was at that time, we had mass layoffs. Like we had over 150 people laid off across the company, and I was one of those people laid off. So if you're going through layoffs, if you've been through layoffs, or maybe this is your first time being a part of a layoff. For me, it was my first time being laid off, so it was a big deal for me. Like I had never experienced anything like that in the past, and it was very disheartening. It affected my self esteem. It affected my self image, and it's not an easy thing, right? It's not an easy thing to go through. It's disappointing, especially if you made some great friends at your place of employment, or simply the fact that okay, like how am I going to pay my bills now? How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to put food on the table? How am I going to keep the roof over my head? Like a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, it's so many different angles to being laid off that go along with it, right? Now, all of that being said, I'm today's segment, I'm not going to focus on the emotional aspects of being laid off, okay? Because all of us deal with that in different ways. Some of us want to take some time off. Some of us, we just want to throw ourselves into maybe working out at the gym or exercising. Some of us want to throw ourselves into some hobby and distraction to keep us distracted. Some of us want to just, some of us just are ready to get back in there. We're like, hey, look, I got laid off. I want to get back into working right away. I don't want any time off. So the point here, folks, is all of us have different ways of dealing with it. I'm not going to cover that aspect on today's segment. Today's segment is under the assumption that you have reached that point where you're like, okay, I've been laid off. I've dealt with it. I've dealt with it emotionally. I've dealt with it in however way that I deal with things. Now I'm ready to get back in the game. So today's 5 tips is going to be focused on, assuming that you've reached that point, folks, and you're ready to get back in the game. You want to get back into getting employed. That's what I'm going to be covering in today's segment. All right. So 5 things you need to be doing. You need to be doing when you reach that point, and you're at that point where you've been laid off. You're ready to get back in the game. So again, if you have any questions about this or anything else job search related, feel free to drop it in the comments. But I'm going to get started with today's topic. Right. So look. Step number 1 that you want to do if you've been laid off is, and this sounds very simple, but simple does not mean easy, right? Step number 1 is you have to accept that you've been laid off, folks. Okay, you need to accept the fact that you've been laid off. So it's no use, thinking about the past, dwelling about the past. Oh my God, I can't believe it. How can this company do this to me? I worked so hard. I put so much time. I put so much effort. I did so much work into this project. I put so much effort and emotional effort and time and effort and energy and blah 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 and a whole bunch of stuff, folks. None of that matters right now. Okay, so reality of the situation. I know you're not gonna like the sound of it, but Step number one is we have to accept the fact that we have been laid off. That is the reality of of the situation, and you got to confront it now. Okay. So again, you've done everything you needed to do. Maybe you've taken some time off. Maybe you've been working out like crazy to get over that frustration, that anger, that whatever it is. But now you've reached a point where you got to move on. No, so number one is accept the fact that you have been laid off. That is the reality of your situation. That is the reality of our situation. We need to confront it, and we can't if we can't confront it if we don't accept it. In order to confront your situation, you have to first and foremost accept it. You have to accept reality as it is. So step number one is you need to accept the fact that you've been laid off. Okay, that is the situation. Yes, maybe you had some great connections at work. Maybe you had some great friends. Maybe you loved the company that you were working for. You were so excited about something that was going on there, or you were just so excited about working there. I mean, what can we do, folks? All right, I went through this myself when I was going through layoffs during the start of COVID. I was very disappointed because the company that I was working at was a company that I was pursuing for like a year before I actually started working for that company. I was so excited. I was so excited to be part of the company. I was pursuing them, building relationships for over a year until I finally got the opportunity to be interviewed by them and get the job and stuff like that. But I mean, after you get laid off, what else can you do? I mean, what more can you do, folks, right? I mean, there's no use stressing about things you do not have under your control, right? Things like mass layoffs or a company deciding to axe off like X% of their workforce. I mean, these are things beyond our control. Don't start blaming yourself and being like, oh my God, I didn't do enough. I didn't do enough this. I didn't do enough that. Not going to be helpful, folks. It is not going to help you. You're gonna dig yourself deeper into a ditch. Okay, whether it's an emotional ditch, a mental ditch, an anxiety related ditch, like it's not going to be helpful. Okay, so just knock all of that off. Okay, just accept the fact. Yes, I've been laid off. Now what are we going to do? That's what we're going to focus on now. Is okay, I've been laid off. What next, right? So that is step number one. Step number one is simply accept the fact that you've been laid off. Do not dwell on the past. Do not start thinking about reasons as to what you could have done, what you could have not done, and all that stuff. Don't no use worrying about any of that stuff. Okay, so that's step number one. Accept the fact that you've been laid off. Step number two. Okay, so you've accepted the fact that you've been laid off. You're like, okay, it is what it is. I've been laid off. What do I do at this point? So what I want you to do next is, and this is another one of the most important things is, now I want you to reevaluate your professional goals. Right now you're at a point where you got to figure out, okay, so I've been laid off. I want to get back in there. I want to get back in the game. I'm ready to move on. I want to move on to my next opportunity. What do I got to do? Now, don't just jump into it, folks. All right, a lot of you might be just willing to just jump right into it and just continue where you're left off and stuff like that. But my suggestion is now is the best time for you to revisit your professional goals. Now, maybe some of you out there who are affected by layoffs during the start of COVID, you know exactly what I'm talking about here, because a lot of people, when they were laid off during COVID, which is ultimately actually what led to later on this whole supposed great reshuffle or great resignation that happened a short while after, is people started reevaluating their goals, their priorities. So that's what you need to be doing right now. So step number two is let's revisit your professional goals. Let's reevaluate your professional goals as well. What do you want to do, folks? I don't know. I don't know what you want to do. Only you know that, right? What do you want to do? Do you want to continue where you left off? Do you want to kind of reevaluate? Do you want to take the same path? Do you want to make some pivots in your career? Do you want to you want to completely change your career trajectory? I don't know. No recruiter knows that either, and no hiring manager out there is going to know that either, folks. Right? And you want to take some time to figure this out. What do you want to do? What are your new professional goals, or are they the same goals? Right? And if you want to continue the same path, hey, nothing wrong with that. No one can tell you anything about that, right? Only you know that. This is an individual decision. What do you want to do at this point? Have you revisited your professional goals? Right? Maybe up until this point, you were I don't know, you were working at the same company for like 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 years, right? As maybe as a project manager. Do you still want to continue down that path? Do you want to still work in the same industry? Do you want to do the same types of projects? Do you want to continue as a project manager, or do you want to move on to something else? Do you want to make a pivot? Do you want to or do you want to completely pivot into a new career? Right? I mean, you can't really decide on that if you're not taking the time to think about these things, folks. So step number two is let's revisit your professional goals. Let's revisit and reevaluate your professional goals. What do you want to do? No one else is going to figure that out on your behalf, folks, right? And again, I want to stress, if you want to continue down the same path, nothing wrong with that, right? But the point I'm trying to make here is you got to take some time right now to revisit your goals. What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? What are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? And I know, although I said, professional goals, let's make it bigger than that. Let's just talk about life goals right now. Okay, what are your life goals right now? Because when we experience something significant like being laid off, especially if you've never been laid off before, I mean, this is a big deal, right? This is not something little and small. So let's actually talk about life in general. Like, what are your life goals? What are your big life goals right now? What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? What are you passionate about? And see how you can connect that with your professional goals, right? Because it's not just about getting a job and working 7, 8, 9 whatever hours a day, right? I mean, if you're going to be working, let's connect it to something bigger as well. So maybe what you're excited the most about right now is maybe it's nothing related to your profession. Maybe it's nothing related to work. Maybe you're suddenly realizing, hey, you know what? I haven't been doing enough charitable work. I haven't been volunteering enough. I haven't been contributing to my community enough, right? Some of us, we start thinking about a whole bunch of other stuff as well, which is fine. So write these things down on paper, right? But the fact is, ultimately, you're going to realize I do need. I do need to be working so I can fund these other dreams and projects and goals that I have for myself. So even if you are evaluating, these maybe these personal dreams and goals, at the same time, you could connect that to your professional goals as well, right? Because when you're making an income, if you're making a good income, maybe you can use some of your income to fund these other things, other projects that you got on the top of your mind, right? Like donating to charity, volunteering in some local community project. Maybe you want to contribute to some community project. Maybe you want to start your own community project. Maybe you want to start your own charity. Maybe you want to start your own group. Maybe you have some hobbies and interests that you're like, hey, you know what? I haven't been doing these hobbies and interests for the past like 20 years of my life. And, my life's just passing by me. I want to put some more time into that. Okay, great. That's great, folks. But at the same time, you do need to be able to fund those activities, right? So ultimately, make sure, even if it's stuff that's not related to work, you want to see how getting a great job, getting a great career is going to help you achieve those non-professional goals and hobbies and interests that you have as well. It's all interconnected, folks, right? Whether we like it or not. For those of us who don't like work, we're like, oh, work has ruined my life. It's interfering with my personal life. I mean, sure, but at the same time, let's see how we can connect work with our personal lives in the sense of, hey, at least if I have a great job, if I have a great paying job, it can help me with my other areas of my life, right? Because look, if I don't have a paying job, if I'm not paid well, if I'm not happy at work, then I'm not going to be happy outside of work either. I'm going to be miserable at home because I'm going to be thinking about, oh my God, I got to go for this job the next day, and you're completely miserable, et cetera, et cetera. So ultimately, yeah, maybe work is not everything, but if you're going to be working somewhere like 7, 8, 9, whatever hours a day, I mean, it might as well be something that you enjoy, that gives you some sense of fulfillment, that you're happy to work around the people that you're going to be happy that you're going to be working around. And hey, maybe the income you earn from this job is gonna help you with maybe family activities, maybe some vacation you want to plan with your family, which you haven't done in like years or months. Maybe it's gonna fund some hobbies and interests that you've got on the side, right? And the reason why I'm mentioning these things, folks, is because those things can help motivate you to putting more effort into your job search, right? Because look, everyone's different. Everyone's different, folks. Like me personally, like my work, what I do as a recruiter, like that is it is directly connected to my life purpose. Okay, this is my purpose in life. I literally, genuinely, sincerely believe that I was put on this planet to be a recruiter. But that's just me. That doesn't mean all of you out there are, you're not connected to your work in the same level, at the same degree. And that's fine, right? But what's important then is you got to figure out other things in life that you're passionate about, that you're like, okay, this is my purpose, this is what motivates me, this is what pushes me forward. Like, you got to figure out how that can connect to your job search so you can get a good job, get a great job that's going to help you, maybe fund those other activities, those other passions that you have in your life. So look, you got to revisit your goals, folks, right? Whether it's your life goals, your personal goals, or your professional goals, now is the time for you to revisit those, get clear on those, reevaluate those, so you can more effectively and efficiently address your job search. Now, that being said, let's go on to step number three. Step number three is now you got to assess and evaluate the environment. Now we're getting back into talking 100% about the job search. Okay. So you got to reevaluate and assess the job market environment. Okay. So this means what's happening in the job market right now. What industries are doing well? What industries are not doing so well? You're going to notice patterns if you're doing research and if you're connecting with people, if you're connecting with staffing agencies, for example, you're going to notice patterns. Like there are certain industries that are actively hiring right now. So maybe you are part of a company or you are part of an industry, that had to go through layoffs, unfortunately, right? But there's other industries out there, folks, that might be doing really well, right? I mean, even during recessions, there are certain parts of the market, certain industries that are still experiencing growth and demand. Maybe it's not like full on, positive growth, but maybe even if it's at a slight angle, right? If it's positive, you want to check out those industries. You need to. This is what I mean. You got to assess and evaluate the market. So if you're watching the news, for example, instead of focusing on the negative stuff, focus on the business impact that whatever it is they're reporting in the news is going to have on certain industries, certain markets. I mean, you got to figure out, okay, so if XYZ happened, how's that going to affect such and such industries? Like there are industries out there that are going to be affected by certain things going on, right? So you got to, at this point, you got to evaluate where is the action, right? If you're I like to use this analogy, right? Like if you're fishing in a pond, right? If you're fishing in a pond, there's an area with a whole bunch of fish. Obviously that's where you're going to be fishing. Now if the fish move into another region of the pond or the lake or whatever it is, and the spot that you were at, I mean, there's no fish anymore, it doesn't make any sense for you to keep fishing in that spot, right? So why do some of you so stubbornly keep looking for jobs in a particular industry, even when that industry is not experiencing much growth at the moment, right? Like you got to go where are the fish, folks, right? If you're taking notes, write that down. Where are the fish? And you need to reevaluate, reposition, move your boat to the part of the pond or the lake where the fish have moved to, right? So that means where is all the action right now? Where's all the money, the investments flowing into right now on the market? Where are venture capitalists investing their money? Where are investors investing their money? Which industries? What type of projects? Like this involves some research. Like you gotta assess and evaluate the environment, right? And based on that, that's when you gotta think about, okay, it looks like a lot of the growth, a lot of money, a lot of investments are going into this particular industry or these couple of industries. The next thing you got to figure out is there a demand for people with my skills, my knowledge, my experience in these industries, right? So for example, maybe there's a I don't know, maybe there's a demand right now, or maybe the construction industry is experiencing growth, right? Maybe the construction industry is experiencing growth. Maybe you're a software developer and you're not even thinking about the construction industry. But guess what? If the construction industry is experiencing growth, it's worth you checking out. Hey, is there a demand for software developers in the construction industry right now? I don't know. Like I don't know if there is, right? I mean, maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I don't know. But one of my point here is, if there's an industry that is experiencing growth right now, you need to be figuring out, folks. Does that industry require someone with my skill set, my experience, and my expertise? You got to do your research. You got to figure that out, right? And maybe that involves reaching out to some staffing agencies, and maybe your staffing agency contacts and being like, hey, are you noticing any requirements for project managers or business analysts or software developers or accountants or whatever it is you are in such and such industries? Is there a demand for us in the retail industry? Is there demand for us in the construction industry, in the SaaS industry, in this industry, in that industry? Like you gotta really take a strategic approach here, folks, right? And that's the point I'm trying to make here. Also, part of this is you got to start evaluating who you need to be getting yourself in front of. You need to be reconnecting with recruiters in your network. You got to be reconnect. But by the way, when I say recruiters, I don't mean just staffing agency recruiters. Like also corporate recruiters as well, right? You got to be reconnecting with these people. You got to be reconnecting with your professional contacts, right? Maybe people that you knew from the past colleagues, past individuals that you were a part of on the same team, past supervisors, past managers. Hopefully you've been maintaining good, positive relationships. People who are now senior executives, maybe directors, vice presidents, C level executives, right? I mean, hopefully you made a great impression on them in the past, and hopefully you've been maintaining positive relationships with them since then. But this is where you also got to be assessing your network of connections as well, right? This is where you got to be getting back into networking, right? Reconnecting with people that you might not have been in touch with. So you got to get yourself in front of the right people as well. So look, step number three is you got to assess and evaluate the environment. And environment means yes, literally the actual market environment, industry environments, but also what I mean is your network and connections as well. This is where you got to be connecting with the right people and connecting with the right opportunities as well. Okay, so that's tip number three. Tip number four, folks. Before I get into tip number four, let me take a quick sip of hydrate myself there. Tip number four, folks. Time to sharpen up. All right, this might be a time to sharpen up. So as you're doing your research, as you're evaluating the environment, you're reevaluating your career goals, your professional goals, your life goals. You come to the conclusion, hey, you know what? Based on my goals, I got to take some training. Right, I got to take some training. I got to take some certifications. I got to take some courses. I need to sharpen up. Or maybe you're a little rusty in some area of your skill set. Now's the time to sharpen up, folks. You got to sharpen up, right? Don't think that there might not be some areas of improvement at your end. This is a great time for you to be evaluating that. And you know what, in your discussions with your network, maybe your peers, and again, those senior managers, those senior executives you're reconnecting with, they might tell you, hey, look, we're noticing this and this pattern or this and this trend in the industry. You should get yourself this certification or this training, or take this course, or hey, you got to brush up on this aspect of your skill set. I mean, you got to be gathering this information and then deciding on whether this might be a good time for you to sharpen up, folks. Like I noticed so many people do this as well, right? I know when COVID first happened, I know when people generally go through a layoff, they want to make certain changes and pivots in their career. They usually research, what are some courses I can take right now? What are some certifications I can take right now? Is this a good time for you to upgrade your skill? Maybe there's a certain certification you wanted to take before, but you just didn't have time because you were employed, you were working, and you just didn't have time for the studying, the mini projects, the mini assignments that this certification requires. This is a great time for you to decide on whether, hey, now's the time for me to sharpen up on my skills, learn some new skills, enhance existing skills, take that certification I couldn't take before, take that I don't know, designation that you couldn't take before. It's a great time for you to figure out if that now's the time for you to sharpen up your skill set, folks, right? So make sure you put some time and effort into researching that as well. Now, quick warning: make sure if you are taking any certifications and courses or trainings or stuff like that, I mean, make sure that whatever certification or designation you're taking, it is recognized in your profession, or it is provided by an institution that is recognized in your profession or in your industry, right? Because you don't want to spend money on something only for you to realize, hey, it's not even recognized. This designation, this certification, is not even recognized in my profession, in my industry. Like, that's such a waste of time and money and effort, right? So make sure you do your due diligence before you do this. And tip number five, folks, one of the most important tips is take action. All right, take action, take action, take action. It is the most important part. You can do as much research as you want. You can do as much, evaluations as you want, as much assessments, self-reflection as you want. But if all you're doing is just thinking about things and writing things down, and you're not taking action, I mean, it's not gonna. I mean, nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna change. You're just gonna be, your brain's just gonna be full of a whole bunch of information and ideas, and you're not gonna be doing anything, right? So, tip number five is you gotta take action. You gotta take action on whatever your plan is, whatever your strategy is at this point. I shared a couple of tips and strategies up until this point. You got to put all of that into action, right? If you're not putting it into action, if you're simply basking in your situation, you're like, oh my God, I just got laid off. Oh my God, this is happening. Oh my God, there's mass layoffs going on in the industry. So and so got laid off. Oh my God, my friend, Jill got laid off. I'm seeing things on social media. Oh my God, Tesla's laying off, X number of percent staff. Coinbase laying off people. Netflix is halting their hiring. This company's doing this. Folks, none of that's going to help, okay? Like, if you keep listening to this negative stuff, it's not going to help you. At some point, you got to ignore all of that and just simply take action. All right. You got a wealth of knowledge. You got a wealth of talent. You got a whole bunch of experiences under your belt. Uh, I mean, there's so much you probably bring to the table, right? And there's a company out there right now that's just waiting. I mean, they can't find you. They're literally struggling to find you, folks. There's a company out there that considers you their dream candidate, and they can't find you. They're interviewing people and they keep telling the recruiter or the rest of the team, they're like, oh, they're good, but we still need to find the right person. That right person might be you, and they haven't found you yet. So you got to put yourself out there, and you can't put yourself out there if you're not taking action, folks. Okay, so don't get stuck in analysis. Don't do the whole paralysis by an analysis thing. At some point, you got to take action, right? So brush up on your resume, brush up on your interview skills. Evaluate the market, evaluate your network of connections, and start taking action. Start applying for jobs. Start making connections. Start setting up Zoom calls with your recruiter contacts. Start setting up calls with your former bosses or managers or peers or whoever it is, like people that you knew. Like, you got to take action and put yourself out there, right? Your greatest challenge, folks, your greatest challenge as a job seeker is not your lack of talent or your lack of intelligence, lack of ability, lack of potential. That is not your biggest problem. Your biggest problem is lack of visibility, right? The companies that want to hire you, the companies that want to interview you, they can't see you. They don't know you exist because you're not putting yourself out there enough. So take action, don't give up, stay positive, and keep putting yourself out there, right? So those are my 5 tips for today, folks. All right. So I'll quick review of the tips. Tip number 1 is you got to accept and confront the fact that you have been laid off. Okay. That's the reality of the situation. I know that doesn't sound positive, but the fact is, if you've been laid off, then you've been laid off. You got to confront that. You got to accept it so you can get started on, so you can move on and start getting yourself another job and getting yourself back into employment again. Step number 2, revisit your goals. Okay. Your professional goals, your life goals, your personal goals, family goals, all of that stuff. It's all interconnected, whether we like it or not, right? One aspect will help us do better in other aspects. Okay, if you're unemployed, you're miserable, you're not working, it's not going to help you with your family life, your personal life, your friend life, your social life. It's going to affect all those other areas. Happily employed, great salary, great team, you're having a hell of a time 8 hours of the day, and then when you're at the point when you're disconnecting from work, you're dedicated to your family, your friends, your social life, you're a much better person, you're more positive, you're more happier, right? So all of that stuff, like, so get clear on all of these various goals you have: professional, personal, family, social, hobbies, interests, whatever it is. It's all interconnected. It's going to help each other, and knowing that it's all interconnected is going to help motivate you through your job search as well. Because look, if you're happy at your job and at your work, you feel fulfilled, you're going to be happy in all other areas of your life as well. I guarantee it, folks. All right. Step number 3: assess the environment, assess the market environment. What industries are doing well right now? What industries are experiencing growth right now? Those are the industries you want to look at for opportunities requiring someone with your skills and your expertise and your skill set. And also, this is also an opportunity for you to assess your professional network of contacts as well. Recruiters, hiring managers, corporate recruiters, staffing agency recruiters, former coworkers, former managers, former directors, former people that who are directors, managers, vice presidents, C-level executives right now. Like, you got to reconnect, assess your professional contact network of contacts as well. Step number 4: time to sharpen up, folks. Time to sharpen up. Is now the time for you to sharpen up on your skills. Is now the time for you to take some certifications or some designations you weren't able to do in the past. I don't know. Only you know that, folks. Like, now's the time for you to figure out, is now the time for me to sharpen up on some of my skills, enhance some of my existing skills, or attain new skills. You got to figure it out. That's tip number 4. And tip number 5 is, folks, all of that, none of that is worth anything if you're not taking action. Okay, taking action is extremely important. You got to take action. Put yourself out there. Again, there's a company out there just waiting to meet with you. They're just waiting to hire someone like you, but they haven't met you yet, and you can't meet them if you're not taking action. So tip number 5 is, you got to take action, folks. All right. So look, I hope today's tips help you folks out. If you've been laid off, and look, stay positive, folks. I know it's tough, but you got to keep putting yourself out there, right? I don't see any other questions in the comments, so I'm going to wrap up today's segment. So mark your calendars. Every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone, I'm right here to help you folks out with job search tips, advice, and strategies. Make sure you hit like and make sure you share this segment with anyone you know who might have been affected by layoffs. And make sure you save this segment as well. Hey, in case anyone might be affected by layoffs in the future, or even if yourself, all right, knock on wood, I hope you don't experience, I hope none of you experience having to get laid off, but just in case you do, you got to have the right strategies, folks, to get back in there, right? So make sure you save this segment. Make sure you like and share with anyone in your network who might be affected by layoffs. And if you want to follow me on any of my social channels, all my social media links are over here, linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter, linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter. Just navigate to that webpage. All of my social links are there, and I hope to continue adding value to you folks. I pretty much post something job search related on at least one or two of my social channels almost every day. So make sure you check me out on those channels. And I'll see you again next week, folks, on Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone. I'll see you then. Everyone take care and have a fantastic week ahead. All right. Take care, everyone. And I'll see you later.